Hello everyone! For today's video, I'm putting together a list of the best modern 2.5D Metroidvania games. These games combine classic 2D side-scrolling gameplay with detailed 3D graphics, creating a unique style that looks sharp, dynamic, and really stands out. Well, let's get into the list. Somber Echoes is a Metroidvania that mixes fantasy, Greek mythology, and sci-fi into one big world to explore. Right from the start, you're dropped into a huge interconnected map filled with unique areas, enemies, and hidden secrets. One of the coolest mechanics is your ability to turn into a ball of energy mid-air, letting you change direction while jumping. It starts as a simple double jump, but later upgrades make it even more flexible and fun. The game doesn't hold your hand much, but that's part of the fun. Visually, the game ranges from decent to really impressive. At its best, especially during boss fights, the combination of sound and visuals creates a dark and powerful atmosphere. Frontier Hunter Erza's Wheel of Fortune is a solid anime-style 2.5D Metroidvania. You play as Erza, a bounty hunter in a sci-fi fantasy world. Now, Erza and her two companions, Kiara and Nia, must explore this world, fight monsters, and collect parts to fix their ship. One of the coolest features is that you can switch between all three characters anytime. Each one plays very differently. Erza uses heavy swords, Ciara mixes kicks with a giant cannon, and Nia focuses on fast, close-range punches. The combat is combo-based, with dodging, ranged attacks, and special skills. But instead of just unlocking typical abilities like double jump, many upgrades here focus on how your attacks interact with the environment, like opening paths or activating mechanisms. Kong Survivor Instinct is a 2.5D Metroidvania set in a world full of giant titans. And you're just a normal guy. You play as David, a father searching for his daughter after a massive titan attack destroys the city. The world around you is completely ruined. Collapsed buildings, broken streets, and dangerous creatures everywhere. It really makes you feel small in a world ruled by giants. And those giants, they're always there. Seeing Kong walk in the background never gets old. And whenever a new titan shows up, it's always exciting, even if they're trying to kill you. One of the coolest mechanics is a device called Orca. It lets you influence titans, using them to clear paths or destroy obstacles. It adds a unique twist to both puzzles and exploration. The Devil Within Satgat is a 2.5D Metroidvania that feels fast, fluid, and really satisfying to play. The combat is the highlight here. You've got a sword with a variety of attacks, ground combos, aerial moves, and powerful charged slashes. But the real star is the parry system. If you time it right, you can counter enemies with a strong and stylish attack that feels incredibly rewarding. You can also dash to dodge attacks and even use a gun later on for ranged combat, giving you more options in fights. And the enemies? There's a lot of variety. You'll face everything from wild dogs and zombie-like creatures to some really weird monsters. At first, Darklight feels a lot like a 2.5D version of Dark Souls. You start weak with basic weapons, and enemies can be tough. You'll need to dodge, parry, and play carefully to survive. As you progress, the game opens up. You unlock more abilities, upgrade your stats, and slowly become stronger. Later on, you'll even choose between two factions, which changes your abilities and unlocks a big skill tree. This adds more depth and lets you shape your playstyle. Visually, Darklight looks amazing as well. Instead of a typical empty apocalypse, the world is filled with dark swamps, fire pits, and futuristic labs. It mixes cyberpunk with horror, creating a really cool atmosphere. Vigil. The Longest Night is a 2.5D Metroidvania with brutal combat and a strong gothic horror vibe. You play as Layla, a member of the Vigilant Order. Her mission is to protect people and end something called the Longest Night, a world stuck in endless darkness after a sun goddess disappeared. The story itself is quite interesting, but it's not always easy to follow. A lot of it is told through hints and small details, so you'll need to piece things together on your own. But once you start playing, the difficulty hits fast. After a short tutorial, you're thrown into a boss fight, and yeah, it's tough. This is very much a Souls-like experience. You'll die, learn, and try again. Mandragora looks beautiful, feels dark and intense, and offers some seriously tough combat. What makes it stand out is the class system. You can choose from 6 classes, like Vanguard, Nightshade, or Flameweaver, and later mix them together to create your own hybrid build. The skill trees are huge, but surprisingly easy to understand, giving you tons of freedom to play how you want. The combat is very close range and personal. Most fights happen face to face, so dodging and timing are everything. Some classes have unique abilities, like teleporting behind enemies or casting magic, but overall, you'll be right in the action. The Mobius machine goes full sci-fi shooter, clearly inspired by classic Metroid. Right from the start, the game feels familiar in a good way. You've got a laser gun, smooth aiming, and a big jump to dodge attacks. It feels clean and responsive. And not long after, you start unlocking upgrades. One of the first is a shotgun, great for close combat and dealing extra damage. But the real game changers are movement abilities. Things like sliding through tight spaces, climbing walls, and unlocking new paths. These are what drive exploration forward. If you enjoy the feeling of being lost on an alien planet, there's definitely fun to be had here. The 3D visuals look great, and the world feels alive and dangerous. Tales of Kenzera Zhao is a new Metroidvania that stands out, not because of its gameplay, but because of its story. At its core, it's a story about grief. You follow a young man who is dealing with the loss of his father. To cope, he tells a story, one where he becomes Zhao, a young shaman on a journey to bring his father back. It's emotional, and you can really feel the heart behind it. Now let's talk gameplay. Zhao uses 2 spirit masks, the sun and the moon. The sun mask is all about offense. It gives you fire powers, strong melee attacks, and flaming projectiles. The moon mask is more about control. You can freeze enemies, slow things down, and attack from a distance. You'll constantly switch between these 2 masks, both in combat and while solving puzzles. Let's be honest, anthropomorphic animals are kind of weird when you really think about it. I mean, a bunny beating up a Doberman with a giant mechanical fist? That sounds ridiculous, but somehow it works. And that's exactly what you get in Fist Forged in Shadow Torch. The combat starts off simple with light and heavy attacks, plus grabs to deal with enemies. But as you progress, it becomes much more interesting. You unlock new combos, stronger abilities, and even different forms for your weapon. There's a drill form that helps you break through obstacles and move in new ways, and a whip form that lets you swing across gaps and reach higher areas. These also change how you fight, making combat feel heavier, more brutal, and really satisfying.
Always walk in the shadows and free all possessions.
Right away, you can see that GRIME 2 is a great sequel. But instead of the dark, organic world from the first game, GRIME 2 goes in a more artistic direction. This time, the world is built around paint, broken sculptures, and creative spaces. It's more colorful, but still strange and surreal. Where GRIME 2 really improves is in combat and movement. The first game relied heavily on parrying. And while that's still important, now you have way more options. You can use different weapons, abilities, and a brand new system called molds. Molds are basically small copies of enemies you've defeated. You can summon them in battle to help you. Some can distract bosses, giving you time to heal. Others help in different ways, but they're more about support than dealing damage.
Stand down.
As you guys already know, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is an amazing Castlevania-style Metroidvania. If you've played games like Symphony of the Night or Area of Sorrow, you'll feel right at home here. In fact, Bloodstained feels like a greatest hits version of those games. Visually, the game's 2.5D graphics looks great. The castle is full of Gothic design mixed with detailed decorations. It feels classic, dark, and stylish at the same time. Another great thing is the amount of content. The game already feels complete, but it also received a lot of free updates. New characters, extra modes, and even crossover content with games like Child of Light. There's a lot to do and plenty of reasons to come back. Metroid Dread is one of the best modern Metroid games there is. This is a true continuation of the series, and right from the start, it feels incredible to play with smooth movement, tight controls, and everything responding exactly the way you expect, making it feel modern while still staying true to its roots. The game's world is made even better by the music, which is subtle but very effective at building tension, especially during more intense moments. And speaking of intense, the boss fights in this game are no joke because there are a lot of them, and while some are manageable, others are extremely challenging and can take multiple attempts to beat. Let me be honest, when Ori Games was first revealed, it immediately caught my attention. After finally playing it, I can say this. This game is something special. The story is simple, but very emotional. As you play, you slowly grow attached to Ori. It's one of those stories that pulls you in without needing too many words. Now let's talk about the visuals. This game is beautiful. Everything looks like a moving painting. The environments are full of detail, with lighting, fog, water, and smooth animations that bring the world to life. Even when you backtrack, you won't mind because the world is just that nice to look at. The Lost Crown showed up and it completely blew me away. This isn't just Ubisoft trying the Metroidvania genre, it feels like they went all in and absolutely nailed it. First, let's talk about gameplay, because this is where the game really shines. This is easily one of the best playing Metroidvania games out there. Everything feels smooth, responsive, and satisfying. As you play, you'll unlock powers like air dashes, time rewind, and more. Some abilities let you fight better, while others help you solve puzzles or reach new areas. When you combine them, the game becomes really exciting. You're jumping, dashing, rewinding time, and solving tricky challenges all at once. That's all for today's list. Subscribe and like for more new exciting Metroidvania games. That's it, and see you next time.